In this video I'm going to explain cinematic gimbal moves for beginners, and I'm going to be going through the kind of modes you want to use the gimbal in, how you're going to move the gimbal and your body to achieve the shot, and I'll show you examples of shots, and we'll also give you some examples of things that can go wrong where it was set up in the wrong mode, so you can hopefully avoid all that. So if you're new, welcome. I'm called Adrian. I make videos about the Zhiyun or Zhiyun Weebill S and the Canon M50. I also make videos about alternative, safe, natural and effective ways to maintain and improve your physical and mental health and well-being. And if that subject interests you, have a look down in the description and you can check out those videos. Now, the structure of today's video, we're going to be talking about basic considerations and a couple of things gimbals can and can't do, the kind of settings that work best on the camera, and then we'll go through a whole series of the different gimbal moves and the kind of effects you can get. Some things to consider: you're telling a story with the video, so all good stories have a start, a beginning and an end. So a nice pan shot like this can really kind of set the scene as to where you are, and this is a particularly lovely castle in Wales. Have a think about the kind of speed of shooting you're going to do, whether it's going to be regular speed or slow motion. Have a think about the lens you want to use. A very wide lens gets a lot more detail in. It also can give you very dramatic effects of speed, like this one as we're crossing the grass here. And one thing to bear in mind is that your eyes are designed to track movement. Now that sounds kind of goofy. What I mean is when you see some movement out of the corner of your eye, it draws your eye to it. So you can take advantage of that in your filming. You can put some kind of foreground element here, like the grass is in front of this. It adds a whole new dimension. It also means that even relatively small camera movements look particularly large. So the use of foreground elements really changes everything, and we'll get more into that later on. The other thing to have a think about is focus. I prefer using manual focus unless I was following someone, in which case using the autofocus and selecting the object on the screen, that works really well, particularly on my Canon M50. But if you, for example, in this shot, use autofocus, it has to hunt to bring the final object as we're revealing around the tree to get the object, whereas if you use manual focus like in this shot, as you come around the object is very clearly focused, and that's actually really easy to do. You set the shot up manually, then come back around the object you want to do the reveal around. Another thing you want to watch out for with the gimbal is framing. It may be easier if you had an external monitor, and that's something I have been thinking about. But if you look at this shot here, the tree itself is moving around in the frame, and I was having a little bit of trouble with this. But pay attention to your framing of the object that you're shooting while you're using the gimbal. Certainly I find it takes a fair bit of concentration, and if you understand the moves the gimbal's going to make by practicing beforehand, it actually makes it a little bit easier. So if we come onto the gimbal now, if you have a look at this, there is no motor that takes care of the vertical compensation. So I find if you tilt the gimbal forwards a little bit like this, it certainly makes it easier. You also really want to familiarize yourself with what I've heard termed the gimbal walk or the ninja walk, where you bend your knees and you roll across from your heel to your toe. You may find it a little easier to walk on tiptoe. It's really a matter of personal preference. On some shots you'll find that actually walking backwards and then reversing the shot in post-production gives you a smoother shot, although do bear in mind that won't work if there's other objects that look really weird going backwards, like perhaps people walking backwards, just like you did taking the shot. The other thing, if you're taking a pan shot, I find it's best to tuck my elbows into my side and rotate my body. That makes for a very smooth movement. Conversely, if I am walking or doing some kind of orbital shot, then I want my elbows slightly away from my body, so there is acting like a shock absorber, if you will. And one other thing I found on the camera in particular is, since the gimbal is going to be doing all the stabilization, I find it best to turn off any lens stabilization and any in-body or digital stabilization in the camera. I found when I leave those on, I get some really kind of weird distortion, not always, but sometimes. But by turning those off, we never have that trouble. So onto the gimbal moves now. The first one is follow. I think when we all get our gimbal at first, we want to follow something or someone, and it's ideal for that. So a couple of things you want to remember. Number one is your gimbal walk, in order to stop the camera bouncing up, down, and that slight tilt forward you want. It depends really on what your subject's going to do. If it's straightforward follow in a straight line, then lock mode's ideal for that. If there's going to be any lefts and rights, you want it in pan follow. And if there's going to be any ups and downs, then you want it in follow mode. It's also worth remembering, if you are going to be walking quickly, you might want to adjust the deadband so you've got more room on the pan follow if you're using that mode. And a couple of other things as well. This shot's absolutely great if you do it behind the subject, but also then in front of the subject walking backwards. But if you're going to do that, make sure that you have someone spotting you, so that you don't bang into anything or accidentally hurt yourself. And in the examples here, this one here where I was following someone down the street, absolutely fine, not a problem. This second one here, I forgot to put the gimbal in lock. It was in pan follow. I had it underslung, and you can see what happened to the footage. So it wasn't useful for what I had in mind, but turns out to have been useful for this. Pan mode, you can get some amazing pan shots with your gimbal, so put it in PF mode. I keep my elbows tucked into my side and rotate my body, and here's a couple of examples. This one is the castle again, which is beautiful, and this one is a shot in the hills near me. Okay, so this next group are the dolly movements, either dollying in or pushing in, dollying out, pulling out, or going sideways parallel to your object. In these ones I tend to have the camera in lock, and I think the term dolly came from the trolley device with wheels on it, which is pushed along a track, and it's still used extensively in the film and video industry, I suppose video industry now. I have the gimbal in lock for this, and depending on what you're going to do, you're either going to just literally push your arm straight out, pull your arm straight back. Obviously if you're going to be walking in, you'd be doing your gimbal walk in again. You can also have the gimbal underslung and do a push in, that works very well, or a pull back out, that works really well. So here's some example footage of that. In this one here we're pushing along a wall. This one here we're simply moving forwards looking at the buildings. This one we're pushing on an angle towards an archway, an old archway. This one's really good because we're pushing through some railings towards an old building. It gives a real sense of motion. Now on this first one here, I forgot I had it in pan follow mode. You can see that the gimbal was moving around a bit, so I retook it again with it in lock mode, and that worked fine. This one here I think works really well. It's on a very tight angle to an archway, and I get very close in to the arch, which gives you a real sense of movement, versus this one, which is just more of a straight movement straight through an archway. And this one's nice as well, where I've come in at an angle to the gate, and I've had the focus fixed on the steps in the background, so all the foreground is blurred out. We move through that blurred out fence towards the steps. So dolly out, this is where you're going to pull back from the object or walk backwards. And again, if you are walking backwards, do make sure you're being spotted for that. Now, a couple of examples here. In this first one, I had the gimbal in lock mode, and I just pulled away and down from the piece of farm equipment. And the second one, which we covered in the focus as well, that's a manual focus on the berries. Had a very short focal length, so the aperture I think was about 1.8, and I just pulled back through the fence, and I thought that was quite an interesting effect because the various elements came in and out of focus as you pull back through. Dolly sideways, and there's really, I've found three approaches I use on this. One is where I'm stationary and I'm simply moving across in the front of an object, usually with some foreground elements. For example here, in front of this building, using the railings in the front to create the sense of movement. Here revealing this bridge. Here revealing this building. Revealing the cathedral, revealing a door. Or revealing the side of the castle through the archway. Alternatively, You can either do this sideways walk, or you can walk forwards with the camera pointing sideways like I did across this bridge, and because of the foreground element you get a real sense of speed, and I really wasn't walking that quickly at all. Or walking next to this church ruin, again using the fencing to create the impression of speed. Create the impression of movement. And this next one's one of my favourites, which is Orbital, where you're either walking around an object or you're orbiting around an object much closer into it. And I think it creates a really interesting effect, certainly with the background and the foreground elements moving at different speeds. So we'll start off with an underslung one here. It's really simple to do. The gimbal is in pan follow PF mode for these. So this one is around these snowdrops. You can also put the camera vertically like this, and this is the movement you would make, and this is of some gargoyles on Chester Cathedral. Now this one is using this stance. I take a very wide stance and move the camera around in front of me, and this allows you to create these kind of shots. Pointing towards the sun works really well with these as well, if it's through the trees and stuff, so you get a really interesting effect with some lens flares, or revealing buildings and objects from behind other objects, so as you get around the corner you rotate. And the final one is where you actually orbit around a stationary object with this kind of movement. Now this next shot, my pal Paul of Paul's Property Lifestyle, I ended up with I had a 50mm lens on this, so I was walking a lot to make this path all the way around him, but I thought the effect was really, really good. Underslung, we've just shown a couple of examples of the gimbal in underslung mode in this next sequence. In fact, to use underslung you could either have it in lock, if you were simply moving it towards an object or away from, or pan follow, or you could lock it into follow mode. For example, on this one where I walked in towards this sculpture and then straight up the side of it, which gives a really interesting and dramatic effect. And on this example, while I'm on it, this first one I did using the tilt trick, I used tilt on the joystick. I don't think it worked as well as having the next one where I locked it into follow mode and simply pushed the gimbal up as I approached it. This is a sequence of shots from a walk video I made, which gives you some ideas. They're only very small movements, but you're that close into things, you get a real sense of speed and drama from it. Jib shots. It's one of the great things about having a gimbal is you can take jib shots and you become the jib. So you can either jib from the ground up like this, or from down high up down to the ground. You would normally have the gimbal in lock mode pointing towards your subject. I would point it in the kind of mid position and then go otherwise from that. For example, this small one over the wall to display the river and the boat, and this next one displaying a bridge. This one here is a bit of a combination where I was walking forwards with it underslung and then came up, and watch out for your feet when you do this, you'll see mine in the corner, and it gives a real sense of drama as you come up again because of the position of the foreground elements. Or this lovely one in the park where someone had left a bunch of flowers on a bench, and that worked really well again because of the foreground. This one here I wanted to show you as well. The first one we jib up, there's a building in the background, there's fencing, and it works really well. It's a nice shot, but the same shot again where as you come up you push through the fence, I think has more impact. Reverse focus reveal, I first heard this term coined by Daniel Schiffer, and you basically start the shot close in. On this one I was in lock mode. You have it on manual focus, so you start the shot there and you back away, and then in post-production you reverse it so you end up stopping where your item's in focus, and it actually works really well if you do a speed ramp in there as well, so you can come to a sudden stop. POV mode, you can create some really interesting effects with this. It's not really something I've done much of. I just filmed a quick example here, or two examples actually, this one of a hut and this one of the bridge. Vortex mode, it's not something I've done any of, and I actually have to say that when I watch these played back it makes me feel a bit queasy, but here's an example of the gimbal move you're going to make. In this example I was also doing the gimbal walk and straight through this archway. So we'll talk about combinations. This is where you might have an orbit movement following a dolly in or dolly sideways movement, something like this. Or on this one you've already seen where we did a jib up and then pushed through. So it's about thinking the shot through and then coming up with some interesting takes on it. And I'd encourage you with all of this just to get out and practice and practice and play and let your imagination run riot and just mess around and get to know the equipment and come up with some really good stuff. So I hope you found all this useful and interesting. If you liked it, please give me the thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, please make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll be kept notified when new content is released. If there's any other videos you'd like me to make, please leave me a comment in the comments section and I'll see what I can do for you. And I've really enjoyed putting this together. It's been extremely challenging. It's probably the biggest video I've ever made, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See ya!